part to ensure the orange trader never returns to power. That's 11 a.m. to 12 noon, beginning Monday, September 23rd. Be there.
Liberalism is back in style. Welcome to the evolution.
What if you knew Fox News was just lying to you? How could you watch when you know?
He was voted Variety Entertainer of the Year, the Excellence in the Arts Award, and is one of the highest Arbitron, now Nielsen-rated talk radio hosts in Las Vegas. He is also a refreshing voice of logic and reason. Live from the entertainment capital of the world, Doug Basham.
Raise a little hell, raise a little hell.
I know words, I have the best words. I love the poorly educated.
They're eating the dogs.
And good morning, my fellow wokes and Republican jokes. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Doug Basham, and welcome to the Doug Basham Show right here on KSHP in Las Vegas and on social media, and to a genuine demonstration of excellence in broadcasting. The website is DougBasham.com, last name spelled B as in Bob, A-S-H-A-M as in Mary. DougBasham.com, my email, Doug@DougBasham.com. We welcome those of you listening on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM on your radio dial here in Las Vegas. We are also broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Twitter/X. And if you've not yet heard why Elon Musk changed the name of Twitter to X, it was so that Trump supporters would be able to spell it. Regarding my website, again, DougBasham.com, here's the deal. It's all of one page. At the top, you'll find this show's logo. Underneath, 11 links, most to my social media sites. Also, one to this station's site, another to contact me via email. The two links I'd like to call your attention to the most are, one, my YouTube page, and two, my TikTok page. On my YouTube page, I would respectfully ask you hit the subscribe button. On TikTok, please hit the red follow button. I would also suggest, if you can, catch the show on my YouTube page. Reason being, when I play clips, I don't play audio clips, I play video clips. So just go to my website, again, DougBasham.com, click on the YouTube link. Once there, click on the live link, and voila. 221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you would like to talk on the radio somewhere in our second half hour together, that's 702-221-SAVE, as in Save Our Democracy, which is our ultimate and only goal in each and every show we do. And as the Venerable Joy Behar said recently on The View,
I mean, he's cost a lot. I think we should lock him up now.
Well,
And by the way, folks, in all the years I've been doing radio, I have never once asked my producer to ask a caller what he wants to discuss. Unlike right-wing hate radio hosts who screen you up the wazoo. I mean, it's almost like an interrogation. I don't do that. I have never limited my callers to just what I've discussed. If you have something you want to kick around that I haven't, feel free. But that brings us to one quick question before we get to the meat and potatoes of today's show. I have my answer. I'd like to know what you think. According to most polls, this race is close. It's a horse race. It's neck and neck. It's going to be a photo finish. It's within the margin of error. Too close to call. Despite the number of former Trump employees, associates, and other prominent Republicans who have said the orange canker or wanker, take your pick, is not fit to lead this country. And that includes his own vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
Definitely, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
Now, they're saying this race is close. That's also despite the rash of heinous lies Trump has told just within the past few days, every one of which should be unconditionally disqualifying. And the question is, how in the fresh hell is this race close? Again, I have my answer. I'd like to know yours. But back to J.D. Vance for a moment. When you compare 2016 Vance, whom you just heard, to his 2024 persona, it's a complete 180, right? Which has led many people to say, if you can switch from calling Trump America's Hitler to being a shameless mouthpiece for him, he's more dangerous than Trump. But what if he's not? Now, I'm not saying he's not, but I thought of a different perspective on this. Call it a hopeful perspective, if you will. I thought I'd run it by you and see what you think. First, J.D. Vance is no knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing hillbilly. He is an intelligent, smart, Yale-educated lawyer. He lives with and is married to a woman who is every bit his intellectual equal and perhaps even more so. And if the depiction of her in Vance's hillbilly elegy film was accurate, she's a pretty nice gal, which has caused many people to say she's an Indian American. How can she be okay with her husband hooking up with a bigot like Trump? But this plays into my different Vance perspective as well. If you look at 2016 J.D. Vance, he knew exactly who and what Donald Trump was. I don't believe he imagines any differently now, primarily because Trump has done less than nothing to assuage the fears Vance had back in 2016. So, why would he hook up with Trump, you ask? First, Donald Trump is old and fat. He has high blood pressure and spends every waking moment of every day wallowing in his own anger, hatred, resentment, grievance, martyrdom, and misery. There's a 50-50 chance he's not going to last another 4 years, which would make Vance our president. Not that I'm hoping anything happens to Trump. Okay, that might not be entirely truthful, but it's a strong possibility, yes? Again, looking back to 2016 J.D. Vance, he not only knew right from wrong, he actually seemed like a somewhat nice guy. He didn't like the orange contamination because he didn't believe Trump was for the people. Now, you and I both know there's a big difference between a conservative's idea for being for the people and a liberal's. But at least if that's his North Star and guiding principle, isn't that better than a sociopathic, malignant narcissist who was only ever capable of caring for himself and no one else? You saw Vance during the debate. We all did. He was smoother than a newborn baby's ass cheeks. And even though he lied his smooth ass off, he came across as normal, reasonable, controlled, and even likable, which in the eyes of money helped him slide by on his lies. And yes, he said some damning things at the debate, this one being perhaps the worst, which Tim Walz immediately called out as a damning non-answer, which was instantly turned into a Harris Walz campaign ad.
It's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer. America, I think you've got a really clear choice of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Again, yes, that sounded damning. Yes, it was a damning non-answer. But in all honesty, if you're running on a ticket with Donald Trump, what else are you going to say? Which brings me to this question. And again, this is all predicated on the premise that Trump wins next month. God forbid. And by the way, God's going to weigh in on this on a bit. Special guest. Let's say at some point after the election and Trump wins, God decides to bring his chosen one home, introduce him to the heavenly golden arches in the sky. That would make J.D. Vance our president. The next question becomes, which J.D. Vance would we get? 2016 J.D. Vance or 2024 Vance? Would he want to continue Trumpism or would he not? Because if we got the 2016 version, I mean, hey, we have had worse Republican presidents. And I have to be honest, I believe there's maybe not a strong possibility, but hopefully a strong possibility that J.D. Vance at his core is his 2016 version. You can't deny he was spot on when it came to his assessment of Trump. And that brings us back to why he would run alongside Trump. Well, 2024 Vance might be the new real Vance, and he's hoping the Manchurian baby kicks the bucket and he'll just be an upgraded version of Trump. And in fact, that's the premise behind a new ad from the Lincoln Project.
You're in trouble, Donald. In the courts, in the streets, in your own party. But there's one big problem you never saw coming. Turn around. He's right behind you. It's JD. His billionaire friends mock you. Why do you think they forced JD Vance on you? Age is getting to you, Donald, and you're just too slow to see the plan. If you win, JD will come for you. You won't see him until it's too late. He won't wait until you make a mistake. JD's plot to invoke the 25th Amendment is already underway. Your cabinet betrayed you before. Why would it be different now? And with Democrats in the majority, no one will stop him. Republicans want someone younger, smarter, someone stable. A leader who will execute Project 2025 without your problems. Rupert's Wall Street Journal said Vance's version of Trump is better than the real thing. JD switched from never Trump hater to your running mate in record time. You thought that was real? You think he won't stab you in the back to seize 10 years of power in the White House? So yes, Donald, they really are out to get you. And the one who'll betray your presidency is right by your side.
Wow. That was a hell of an ad. You got to give it to the Lincoln Project. They know how to create powerful ads. And that's one perspective. But here's mine. What if Vance hooked up with Trump and his wife doesn't mind because his reason for so doing is to rejuvenate the GOP, to revive it and renew a post-Trump party divorced from the Trump cesspool of indecency and deceit and return it to some semblance of normalcy. Well, at least as normal as the GOP can be. Because again, J.D. Vance is not a stupid man. If he knew who and what the angry creamsicle was back in 2016, I believe and I'm hoping he still knows. And again, that would be a far better solution to the alternative. Just a thought, and one I hope you will find a hopeful one. Quick note on Kamala Harris's current media blitz. Over the weekend, she appeared on the second most popular podcast on Spotify in 2023, the Call Me Daddy Show, which was second only to Joe Rogan's show. The Call Me Daddy Show is hosted by a young lady by the name of Alex Cooper, who apparently doesn't normally discuss politics. And by the way, that's Alex Cooper, not Alice Cooper. That's next week. Harris is also slated to appear on 60 Minutes tonight, as well as ABC's The View, Howard Stern's radio show, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Her running mate Tim Walz will also visit Trump nemesis Jimmy Kimmel tonight. Now, don't expect the orange lump to appear on any of these programs. That's just not happening. Now, in her Call Me Daddy interview, Harris was cool, calm, collected, and confident. And a gold star to me for all that alliteration. For you Trumpers, alliteration is the act of using two or more words that begin with the same letter or sound. Cool, calm, collected, and confident. Huh? I thought this one answer by Harris was just absolutely beautiful.
I want to ask you a question because again, in speaking about women, there has been a very big fixation on biological children, stepchildren, women that have children versus women that don't have children. It's like a huge point somehow of this entire election, right? I saw the governor of Arkansas said, "My kids keep me humble." Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble. How did that make you feel?
I don't think she understands that there are a whole lot of women out here who, one, are not aspiring to be humble. Two, a whole lot of women out here who have a lot of love in their life, family in their life, and children in their life. And I think it's really important for women to lift each other up. You know, I'll tell you, Alex, one of the things that I have really enjoyed about where the discussion has gone, one of the places it's gone, we have our family by blood, and then we have our family by love. And I have both. And I consider it to be a real blessing. And I have two beautiful children, Cole and Ella, who call me Mamala. We have a very modern family. My husband's ex-wife is a friend of mine, you know, and also I'll tell you, look, I'm a child of divorced parents. And when I started dating Doug, my husband, I was very thoughtful and sensitive to making sure that until I knew that our relationship was something that was going to be real, I didn't want to form a relationship with the kids and then walk away from that relationship. My own experience tells me that, you know, children form attachments and you really want to be thoughtful about it. And so I waited to meet the kids. And they are my children. And I love those kids to death. And family comes in many forms. And I think that increasingly, you know, all of us understand that, you know, this is not the 1950s anymore. Families come in all kinds of shapes and form.
Boom. Regarding Sarah Huckabee Sanders' snide and ignorant remark, Kamala said, "I don't think she realizes not all women aspire to be humble." Boom! Shaka-laka-laka! Boom! Shout out to my man T.C. Martin right there. T.C. is, of course, our 2 to 4 p.m. host here on KSHP. He's also the radio voice who calls the games for our WNBA team, the Las Vegas Aces, who sadly were eliminated from the playoffs last night. I know TC will be sharing his thoughts on that coming up at 2 p.m. today. As for Kamala Harris, no word yet if she has any plans to appear on Elon Musk's podcast, Who's Your Daddy? Yes, he of 12 children with Lord knows how many women, although the official number is 3. Quick programming note. In the next day or so, maybe 1, 2, 3 days, we are going to be joined by former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner. He'll be making his second appearance on the show. Longtime listeners to this show know Glenn Kirshner was my number one choice to be Joe Biden's attorney general. He will be my number one choice to be Kamala Harris's attorney general. The biggest mistake Merrick Garland made was not appointing a special prosecutor or special counsel to look into the January 6th insurrection / coup / attempt to interfere with our foundational transfer of power. He waited a year, and look at where we are now. Another programming note. For those of you who may be wondering why I wasn't on last week, and thank you for asking, longtime listeners to this show know full well the troubles I've had with my back pretty much my entire life, since my late teens in my rock and roll band days, when I fell down a set of cement steps carrying my extremely heavy Hammond organ and didn't let go. I was on the air Monday, September the 23rd for that week. However, something happened just 3 days before that. On Friday, September 23rd, I had this flare-up in my back I've only had twice before, and both times earlier this year, around 3 months apart. And not to be melodramatic or anything, but we're not just talking back pain here. This pain encompassed my entire body. I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't lay down. I wanted to climb the walls. I just wasn't athletic enough. But essentially it reduced me to a virtual blubbering mess. And both times earlier this year, I found the only thing that worked was laying down completely motionless, gritting my teeth, and in 3 hours the pain subsided. That worked those 2 times. But the Friday before last week, it just would not subside. Not after 3 hours, not after 4, not after 5, 6, 7, and eventually, after several hours and a completely sleepless night, I raced over to the nearest urgent care. I got there before they did. Now, the doctor prescribed 2 pain medications and 1 muscle relaxant, and they worked to an extent for the first day and a half, and they made the pain manageable. But by the time Monday the 23rd arrived, a week ago today, the pain was back to being unbearable again. And it grew worse as the week progressed. During Thursday's show, the pain was so bad, as soon as I finished the show, I left the station and immediately sped back to the urgent care. The doctor gave me referrals for an MRI, for a pain specialist, for therapy, and to see an orthopedic surgeon. He also gave me a stronger painkiller, apparently the drug of choice for talk radio hosts, the opioid OxyContin. And not only does it work, it now allows me to do the show with one arm tied behind my back, just to make it fair. But let not your hearts be troubled. The medication still hasn't motivated me to use the term feminazi in a monologue, nor have I felt any desire to call any woman who advocates for universal contraception a slut. I've also felt no urge to tell an African-American caller to take the bone out of their nose and call me back. And just for the record, for comments like that, the disgusting Limbaugh aberration, may he rest in pain, at the time of his merciful demise was making $85 million a year. $85 million. That's $1.6 million a week, $327,000 a day. And before you try and paint that as a testament to Limbaugh's talent, some of which he had, I'll admit, Limbaugh was a talented broadcaster. He was a garbage human being, but he had talent. That said, it was more a damning indictment of a certain contingent of the American populace who proved just how large a market existed for dishonesty, hate, bigotry, and fear-mongering. $85 million a year for being the one guy who single-handedly poisoned our political discourse more so than anyone else, and who started what has now become what I call the conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media industrial complex, which is an alternate universe of alternative facts, aka lies. You can draw a direct line between Rush Limbaugh and Donald Trump with a stop at Fox Noise in the middle. Now, I'm not saying Limbaugh was a racist, but the only two African Americans he knew really well were Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. To his credit, though, he did support the Humane Society by eating stray cats. And who could forget how he mocked actor Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's disease? And you know why he didn't take Fox's condition seriously? Because he believed from firsthand experience that the only way someone shook that bad was when their pharmacist was taking too long to fill an OxyContin prescription. And apparently, the day after Limbaugh passed, his wife received a phone call. She said, "Hello?" A guy on the other end said, "Is Rush there?" His wife replied, "No, Rush is dead." Next day, same guy calls, asks for Rush. Not realizing this is the same guy, Limbaugh's wife again says, "No, Rush is dead." Third day, same guy calls, "Is Rush there?" Limbaugh's wife, now recognizing the caller, says, "Look, I don't know who you are, but this is the third day in a row you've called and asked for Rush. Why do you keep calling? I already told you Rush is dead." And the guy replies, "Yeah, I know. I just like hearing it." And of course, Rush's wife took his passing pretty hard, almost as hard as she took it the first day Limbaugh started using Viagra. And have you heard? The makers of Viagra just announced they have developed a pill that increases the, I want to be both delicate and discreet here, shall we say increases the wetness in women. They're calling it Niagara. And you know, here's the deal. Rush Limbaugh never led his audience. He followed them. He was never sold on Trump from the get-go. He knew Trump was a liar and a con man. I mean, let's face it. Game recognizes game. They were two peas in the same pod, cut from the same cloth. But when he saw his audience start to gravitate towards Trump, he went right along with them. He could have educated them as to what he knew to be the truth about Trump, but he didn't. I guess when you're making $85 million a year, I assume he didn't want to risk upsetting the cart or wounding, if not killing, the golden goose. And so he told his audiences what they wanted to hear, not what they needed to hear. And for that, and for all the poison, hatred, and bigotry this treacherous man spewed over the airwaves for decades, and for all he did on behalf of dividing this country to the point hatred has now become a normal, almost expected part of our political discourse, today we light a cigar as we posthumously award Rush Limbaugh the Doug Basham Show Dumbass of the Day Award.
And note that you're on national television doing it, and nobody's stopping you, so why are you so mad?
Why am I mad?
Yeah.
Because women are dying every day all over the world because of people like you. Do you understand that? People with your attitude.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, number one, bona fide first class. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. And you'll be one all your dumbass life. You dumbass.
Make them do those, right?
And speaking of Rush Limbaugh, and I wouldn't be if I hadn't been prescribed OxyContin, that reminds me of Obama's first White House Correspondents' Dinner back in 2009. Wanda Sykes was the guest host and comedian. She delivered one of the finest performances that dinner has ever seen. And remember after Obama won and Limbaugh said he hoped Obama failed? Remarks like that just opened the door for people like Wanda Sykes.
But, Mr. President, you've had your fair share of critics. You know, Rush Limbaugh, one of your big critics. Boy, Rush Limbaugh said he hopes this administration fails. You know, so you said, I hope America fails. You're like, I don't care about people losing their homes or jobs, our soldiers in Iraq. He just wants the country to fail. To me, that's treason. He's not saying anything differently than what Osama bin Laden is saying. You know, you might want to look into this, sir, because I think maybe Rush Limbaugh was the 20th hijacker, but he was just so strung out on Oxycontin he missed his flight. Too much? Okay. But you're laughing inside. I know you're laughing. Rush Limbaugh, I hope the country fails. I hope his kidneys fail. How about that?
And make no mistake, to be fair, she took some good shots of Barack Obama as well.
But, you know, I understand because it's hard to poke fun at the president, you know, because he's so likable. Everybody likes, you know, his T-shirts and bumper stickers. You're listening to the radio and people are dedicating songs, you know. I like to send out Always and Forever to Mr. President. You're like, what the? People love you, you know, and even the media. You know, you guys have been very favorable towards the president. You know, it's funny to me that they've never caught you smoking, but they somehow always catch you with your shirt off. I know you're into this transparency thing, but I don't need to see your nipples. Is there a beach at Camp David? What the hell? You know, there was never a nipple portrait of Lincoln. I'm sorry.
Sykes even went after Obama for his love of basketball.
But this is amazing. You know, the first black president, you know, I know you're biracial, but the first black president. I mean, it's proud. You're proud to be able to say that. You know, the first black president, you know. Well, that's unless you screw up. And then it's going to be, what's up with the half-white guy, huh? Who voted for the mulatto? What the hell?
Actually, that wasn't the clip I wanted to play. I mentioned the basketball clip. Let's see if I can get it right this time.
But this is amazing. You know, the first black president. You know, I know you're biracial. And I must say, Mr. President, I thought that, you know, that when you got into office that you would put a swift end to your basketball pickup plan, you know, pickup basketball plan, you know. I mean, come on. First black president playing basketball, you know, that's one step forward, two steps back. And really, are you any good? I bet you think your game is really nice right now, don't you? Yeah, you really think you got good moves, huh? I mean, come on, nobody's gonna give the president a hard foul with the Secret Service standing there. He's probably bragging and everything. You should have seen me today, baby. I was balling, you know. Well, yeah. They just stroking your ego, like, oh, Mr. President, you really shook me that time, you know. I thought you were going this way, and then I saw Secret Service do this, so I went that way, and right to the hole, sir, right to the hole. But that's the thing about you, sir. You're so likable because you're so accessible. You know, playing basketball. You know. I bet you rappers even give you their demo, don't you? You know, hey, can you get this to Jay-Z for me? Yeah. And you're taking the first lady out on dates. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I walked past the White House and see you out there mowing the lawn.
Wanda Sykes even took a few, shall we say, subtle shots at Michelle Obama.
And the first lady, beautiful as always, looked very nice, and you know, and how dare you people give her grief about bearing her arms? I mean, the country is broke, all right? Sleeves cost money. And you have lovely arms, so I'm glad you're showing off your arms. That's right. That's why also you let, you know, some of these little floozies out here know. And you can try some funny business if you want to, but you're going to get one of these babies around your neck. And you have beautiful arms, like some of the previous first ladies. Yeah, they needed sleeves. I mean, some of them needed ponchos. Good grief. I didn't name any names. But you do need to keep your arms to yourself sometime. You know, you went over to London touching the Queen. You can't do that. You over there patting the Queen on the back like she just slid in the home plate. Way to go, Queen.
Man, that takes you back, doesn't it? It reminds me how before Trump, how nice it was to have a president with a personality and a sense of humor. But back to last week. After last Monday's show and after so many sleepless, pain-racked nights, I was so frazzled, wired, and frankly worn the F out, or WTFO, I needed to take a few days off just to refresh and frankly catch up on some sleep. I had my MRI done. I also went to a pain specialist and to another place where I started therapy. Physical, not mental. Although that might be next. Ironically, there is a history of mental illness in my family, which is weird because neither of my parents were athletic. I also have an upcoming appointment with an orthopedic surgeon. Now, I've already had surgery for 2 herniated discs like 20 years ago. This new MRI showed 2 more new herniated discs, as well as the 2 that were already operated on, for a grand total of 4. So I'm thinking that surgery is probably how this is going to end up as well, but I can guarantee you, if surgery is the final and only option, it ain't going to happen until after the election. No way am I going to miss being here with you for that. Here on the Doug Basham Show, we got your back. Pain. This is the most consequential election in all of our lifetimes. And it doesn't matter which side of the political aisle you're on, whether you're on the left side or the wrong side. This is the election that will determine what the hell kind of country we are likely to be and remain for perhaps quite some time. And you know, I've always gone out of my way to bend over backwards for people, but now my spine has caught on and is doing the same thing. And you know the worst part of all this? Not so much the pain, but I really hated having to cancel my limbo dance classes.
Limbo some more. Let's limbo some more. Let's hit the floor like hit the floor. Let's limbo some more.
Funny thing. By the way, did you see that first clip? That girl limboed underneath the car. And I'll tell you, in all seriousness, I was this close to reaching that limbo level. It's heartbreaking, really. But a funny thing, someone broke into my house a while back and stole my limbo stick. I mean, how low can you get? And you know what's fascinating about the limbo dance? Unlike Trump, limbo is the one instance whereby setting the bar as low as you can is a good thing. And despite his measurable girth, Donald Trump is the best limbo dancer in the world. Trump set the bar as low as it could possibly go and still managed to go under it. Rush Limbaugh, on the other hand, was never any good at limbo, probably because of the Viagra. In any event, I thank you for allowing me to vent, although whine might be a more appropriate term. And one last thing, because of the fact my medications can make me drowsy, I know some of you are saying, how would we know? The bottom line is I'm not supposed to drive, so I'm doing the show from my home. So welcome to my home, mi casa, la mia casa, and ma maison. Ha! And you thought Melania Trump could speak multiple languages. And by the way, there is absolutely zero evidence that she actually can speak 5 languages. It has been reported, however, that at one point in her earlier life, she was able to say anal costs $500 in 5 different languages. So there's that. 221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you would like to chat, that's area code 702-221-SAVE, as in Save Our Democracy. Let's take a call right now. We've got our political guru on hold. Let's talk to Forrest. You're first. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Doug. As usual, great show.
Thank you.
A couple of things. You're mentioning Rush Limbaugh. I don't know if you remember, and I got in a little bit late, so maybe you did mention this. He got his State of the Union medal while Trump was giving his State of the Union address in that same building in Congress, and I don't think anything like that's ever happened. And I thought that, and then about a week or so later, Rush was dead. But I thought that was very, very strange. Did you happen to see that?
Oh, I saw it and I remember it, but you're right. I didn't mention that. But I remember it very well. I also remember how Limbaugh acted all surprised when it was announced. Number one, why would he have been there? And number two, we later learned it was all set up. He knew he was getting it. But that's Limbaugh. He was always a fraud.
Of course he knew he was getting it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love the comedy. I remember her from years ago, and she is really, really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Is she still working, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, I've seen her recently. She's still out there doing her stand-up act.
Oh, that's great. Now, I'm just going to make one more comment. I believe that this election may already be over, and Kamala may have already won. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Pennsylvania, everybody agrees, both the left and the right, everybody agrees that Pennsylvania is the key. Whoever wins Pennsylvania is almost certainly going to win this election. And Pennsylvania has been voting by mail-in ballot, and the numbers are extraordinary. 1.5 million mail-in ballots went out, and this, I just still can't believe this number. It was over 2-to-1 request by the Democrats. So usually you'll see a 5 or 10% difference. Right. You'll never see a 2-to-1 request difference. And so based on that, I think she's already won Pennsylvania. And if she's won Pennsylvania, she's won the next election.
Well, that's great news, Carl. I hope, this isn't just some kind of bounce back from 2020 when there was, the whole COVID interference going on. Let me ask you something, Forrest. How are you feeling about North Carolina?
I feel that I would give her about a 90% chance of taking North Carolina. I know that's a flip. I know that's the only one of the 6 swing states that would be a flip. But the guy running for governor on the Republican side,
I know, Mark Robinson
in North Carolina, is insane.
Yeah,
and I think that helps her quite a bit.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Quick question: oh, you got in late. You didn't hear my whole bit at the beginning about J.D. Vance, right?
No, I got in just after the J.D. Vance part. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't ask you to comment on it if you missed it.
No, he's a Trump wannabe. J.D. Vance is a Trump wannabe, and maybe this is just optimistic, but I think Trump's going to go down so badly. I think she is going to improve Biden's margins in all 50 states. All 50 states, she will improve his margins. And I think Trump is going to get slaughtered, and hopefully that's the end of Trumpism. But we'll have to wait till November 6th and the day after. But as J.D. Vance is helping Trump go down the toilet, and in every state, every swing state but Georgia, they have a terrible candidate running statewide, and those candidates will pull Trump down. And so anyway, to me, it just looks like this election is probably over and the Democrats have already won. But maybe I'm being too optimistic.
Well, I don't know. Optimism is always a good thing, and it's music to my ears.
Well, listen, Doug, I'm going to let you go, and you have a great year, okay?
Hey, thank you, Forrest. Well, let's just have a great election. You know what? We have a great election. We have a great year. We have four great years.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for calling, Forrest. Always a pleasure.
Have a good one now. Bye-bye.
Take care. 221-7283 is our calling number here at the station, folks. If you want to chat, that's 702-221-SAV, as in Save Our Democracy. And yeah, Forrest is right. The fellow that's running in the gubernatorial race in North Carolina, that's Mark Robinson. We've talked about him before. He's the guy who stood in a church at the pulpit and said, some people just need killing. I mean, this guy is such a whack job, and hopefully it will hurt the GOP down ballot. I mean, he's already behind in the governor's race by double digits. I think last I heard it was 14 points. The Democrat was ahead. Hopefully that will affect down ballot as well. 221-7283 is our caller number, area code 702-221-SAVE. Back to the phones we had, and we'll talk to Carl. You're next. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Doug. Hi. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to hear you had a bad pain in your back, and I hope that's resolved. But to tell you the truth, I've had a pain in the ass for about the last 10 years, but also that will be resolved after the election, I think.
Let's hope so, Carl. Let's hope so. And you know what? That's another open-ended question I would like to ask at the beginning of every show. If and when Trump loses, will that be the end of Trumpism? Personally, I'm not convinced it will, because we all know Trump ain't going anywhere. He loves being in the spotlight. He's going to continue to agitate, and I'm not sure Trumpism is going to go away anytime soon. What do you think?
Well, what I'm worried about very badly is on the when he spoke again at the place he was shot the first time. If you listen to him and Vance, they're trying to blame the Democrats for arranging the assassination attempts on him. If you heard his language.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is he's ramping up his base and his mentally ill cult followers, that if he loses, that's what he thinks, just in case he loses, is going to be a complete bloody revolution. And that's what he's trying to ramp up. And that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, and it is so ridiculous to try and blame Democrats for the assassination attempts. Number one, both of them were registered Republicans. Number two, I mean, if you look at the Democrats, if we want to take out a president, we succeed. Look at Joe Biden.
Yeah. But the kid who actually shot at and killed somebody else, if they check into it, he was a registered Republican. His parents had Trump signs all over their yard. That was confirmed. And he was just mentally ill. He had nothing to do with the Democrats and send them to do it. And that's how they're trying to make it sound in case he loses.
And the way they do it is by using the generic term they. They tried to impeach him. They tried to indict him. They tried to try him. They tried to convict him. They tried to shoot him. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it appeals to the simple and narrow-minded.
Right. But like I said, if he loses, which I certainly hope he does, and he probably will, I think, I'm just afraid of some of the crazies. What's going to happen? There's going to be if you think the Capitol was bad, I think it's going to be worse all over the country with some of these mentally ill people. It's just,
there's no question.
Frightening. It's very frightening.
Yeah, there's no question, Carl. We have to be vigilant and we have to be aware, and most importantly, we have to be careful.
That's true. Well,
hey, Carl, I appreciate you calling. I'm going to run because I'm
better.
getting up near the end. Good talking to you. Call again. 221-7283 is the number. JD, you're next. Thanks for calling.
Welcome back, Maharashi.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You know what the Maharashi stands for, right?
Well, yeah, that's what they call Limbaugh.
Well, he used to call himself that, yes.
Yeah.
If I may.
Thanks for calling, fellow former ditto head.
If I may, talk about Trump's presidency for 4 years, some of the accomplishments that he performed.
This shouldn't take long.
All right? Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. But hurry up. We're getting near the end of the hour, so talk
okay. Well, first of all, the Abraham Accords, a major treaty in the Mideast that tied, I believe, almost 20 countries together financially and profitable to do business together and starting some type of dialogue with these people. Changing the law, adhering to the law of 1995 that Clinton, Bush, and Obama did not follow, and changing the embassy to Jerusalem. They took balls to do that.
Well,
and
let me ask you. JD, let me hop in here because I disagree vehemently with that. By moving the embassy, he destroyed what the United States has always supposed to have been, a neutral arbiter in the Middle East. I don't see why that's a good thing.
Well, 3 former presidents thought it was, but they couldn't act on it.
I don't think that's the reason they didn't act on it at all. I think they realized it would destroy what I just said, our position of being a neutral arbiter.
That's neither here nor there at this point. We'll never settle that. And then giving the imprimatur of the Golden Heights that it was Israel's. It acquired in 1960.
JD, tell me something he did good here.
Pardon me?
Tell me something he did good here.
Quite frankly, not any president in my retirement has any effect on me, other than safety of my.
So, in other words, you got nothing.
Safety of my environment. I was starting to say what did happen.
Okay.
Safety for my my family. He also very craftedly changed and rewrote the trade deal with Canada and Mexico that was so bad for us, and got it to the point where.
And how did he make it better?
He rewrote the deal where we got a better bang for our buck than they did. They were Clinton gave away.
How so? How so?
In our tariffs, in our trade deals, in our what we.
Yeah, but you're not JD. You're not giving me any details. You're giving me talking points. How was it better? We got a better deal. How?
Well, first of all, it improved our country's economics. One of the reasons being the trucking industry benefited from it because of the trucks that were becoming from Mexico that were all kinds of disasters. Let me just go on, okay? I'm just trying to be highlighting them. I can't give you every detail. You don't have enough time. Prison reform. You remember that? Cocaine dealers, 30-year sentences?
No.
No?
No, I don't remember that.
The Biden policies of the night that affected black people.
Oh, you're cutting out, JD. Did we lose you? Your phone started going funky there. Well, I'm going to assume we lost you. We didn't hang up on you. You just all of a sudden petered out, which, of course, is what your ex-wife told me. Anyhow, folks, further to what JD said, let me just add this. Even if you can rhyme off a grocery long list, a litany of list of things that you either think Trump did well or that you believe he did well. The point is, none of them, the totality of them, does not erase the fact or mitigate the fact that he is a clear and present danger and existential threat to this country and its democracy. Even if he had cured cancer himself working in a lab 24 hours a day, it doesn't change the fact that he is a danger to this country. Anyhow, folks, I got to run. It's been a pleasure. It's been a slice. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you calling. We'll do it all over again tomorrow, hopefully with you. Until then, take care.